Which of the following is the correct order for ingested food along the alimentary tract? So we're looking for the order from the time that you eat until the time food is digested and then eliminated from the body. What's the order that it will go through? Now, you might take a look at all these choices and you might feel a little overwhelmed trying to distinguish the order. And I think that it could be helpful if we see if right away if there's anything that we could eliminate at quick glance. So we know just as a basic start that the digestive process begins with the mouth when you begin chewing and eating your food. And therefore, actually, every choice is beginning with the oral cavity, oral cavity, oral cavity. So we know that that's correct. So far, nothing to eliminate, but we're going to keep looking and just see if there's anything we could quickly narrow down right away. We also know that the rectum and the anus will be the last step because after you eat and the nutrients are taken in, then any waste is exited through the body in feces and stool, and that would be exited via the rectum and the anus. So do these all end with anus? Here, yes, yes, yes. Oh, option D ends with the appendix, and that is not correct. The appendix is like an accessory organ. It's not really a part of this process, and it definitely would not be the last step when we're trying to decide which process would be the correct order. So for that reason, we are going to eliminate option D. So now we have narrowed down from 4 to 3 options, and let's see if there's anything else at a quick glance we could eliminate. So let's just take a look at step 2. So we know the oral cavity comes first because you're eating. Perfect. Oral cavity, and oral cavity. However, the next step, option C and option A both have the pharynx, which means the food is going down the throat. But option B, you might note, says larynx. The larynx is like the voice box, and this would be involved in the respiratory system, and we do not want food going in there. You have the epiglottis, which is like a flap that covers in the back to prevent food from entering respiration, because we want respiration and digestion to be separate. We don't want to choke and inhale our food into our lungs. That would not be good. So for that reason, we know that larynx should not be listed here, and we can eliminate option B. Okay, great. So now this process will be a little easier because we've narrowed down to 2 options. We went from 4 to 2. So now let's see what's different about option A and option C, and then use that to help us identify what would be correct. So now going down the line, we go from the oral cavity to the pharynx, so from the mouth to the throat, down the esophagus, which is true on both choices. Option A and option B, and well, option C here, both have the esophagus, and then they both go to the stomach. We'll have the stomach next, and so far these are both looking correct, but now this is where there is a change. Option A has the small intestine to the large intestine, and then option C has the large intestine to the small intestine. So now this question has kind of changed. Instead of being what is the correct order of food down the alimentary tract, we're kind of being asked, does food enter the large intestine first, or does food enter the small intestine first? Because those are the 2 differences between these choices. And if you take a look at our diagram here, this is your large intestine, and it ends there with the rectum and anus, which is your last step in the process, which we've identified already. We know that the rectum and the anus is last. They both have anus. So how does the food get to the anus? It has to go down the rectum, which is through the large intestine, and the large intestine is the last step of the digestive process. So if large intestine comes last before exiting the anus, then that means that it has to be last here, and then the small intestine has to come before it. So small intestine and then large intestine. So we could tell that option A would be the correct choice here, because option C has the large intestine before the small intestine, which is incorrect. We want the small intestine to be first and finish with the large intestine. So option A is correct. The order of digestion would be, in this case, oral cavity to the pharynx, to the esophagus, to the stomach, small intestine, large intestine, anus.